Hey y'all, it's Jordan from Jordan Budgets. On this channel, we love talking about our budgets. We love talking about where we're spending money, where we're putting our priorities. So I thought it would be appropriate to share my Christmas budget for 2024. I just ran the numbers like after the fact. Ideally, I would have done this before, but you know, life happens. I did not have a good handle on my budget this year. So I want to share with you guys everything I did end up spending. And then we're going to talk about how I'm planning, what I want to spend in 2025 for Christmas. I think it's good while we have Christmas fresh on our minds now. Most of us might be feeling kind of over it. You might kind of be like, I'm over Christmas. I don't know if I want to sit through this whole video. But y'all, right now is really the best time to set up a 2025 Christmas budget because all of the expenses are fresh on your mind. For example, before Christmas actually happened, I was thinking like, okay, this is how much I have to spend. And I spent it all on my kids, where I didn't account for traditions we have. I didn't account for stockings or family gifts, those kind of things. We're going to run through exactly what I spent, what I bought in all of these categories. I do have a what I bought my kids for Christmas this year video. If you're interested in seeing that, my kids are 8 and 10. So I have a video that's already posted on that. But again, this is going to just be a chatty video where we discuss all of the categories that I had for 2024 for Christmas, what I spent, and then how I want to go ahead and start planning my 2025 budget, knowing what my real numbers were, where I would like to cut back next year, what I'm feeling in this moment, and kind of use it as a momentum for planning for next year. Things can happen, whatever, but we're gonna go ahead and plan, and I think that will just give us a good sounding board for next year. For example, before we get into this, I know I always think my kids need all these gifts, and I did spend a lot on their gifts, but there are different categories that I'm like, I wish I would have taken out of their gift money and put more towards this. Or like I said, there's categories that I just didn't think about at all until we were there. So let's go ahead and get into talking about this video, talking about my budget. Before we really start breaking down my real numbers though, I want to show you guys, these are from my own Etsy shop. This is what I'm using to save for next year for Christmas. So these are 52-week savings challenge binders. If I every single week put in whatever amount is on that week's number, then by the end of this, I'm going to explain what that means in just a second in case you're brand new, but by the end of this, we will have saved $1,378. It's a 52-week challenge. I'm doing 2 52-week challenges for Christmas for next year. So if we keep on top of both of these binders, by next Christmas, we will have almost $2,800 for Christmas. Do I expect we will need all that? No, we're going to talk about it though. But let me show you exactly what that means. These binders are exactly the same idea, just decorated differently, but just to tell you what I'm talking about. So like in week 1, we stuffed $1. Week 2, we stuffed $2. Each of the little cards has its own little corresponding big card. And then like in here, there's $3. In here, there's $5 and so on. So we're doing that in 2 binders. So then instead of this almost $1,400, we will have almost $2,800. I recognize that it starts off a lot easier. By the time we get closer to Christmas, we will be needing to put in, for if we're only doing 1 binder, you need to put in like $52 for that last week, 51. My thought is though, it's easier to put in those big numbers once we get closer to it. Right now, we're just building momentum, building the habit. So it's going to be okay and it's going to work out. Okay. So I am using these to save. My hope is that for next Christmas, we have $2,800 saved. We didn't spend that much this year, but I have some different plans for next year than what we did this year. So I'm going to set these just up here and out of the way. And let's just focus in on one of these sheets for 2024. I'm going to tell you guys, I do have the numbers written over here, so I can quickly just kind of tell you what the category is. I'm not going to use this as this sheet kind of is set up to, probably where you have a name, a gift, a budget, and how much you actually spent. For 2024, since we're doing all of this in hindsight, we're just going to put the category name and then what we spent. And then for 2025, we're going to put the category or the name, and then we will put our budgeted amount. So we're just we're not filling this sheet out all the way. We're just going to chat and fill this out kind of how I have it. How are you guys doing? How was your Christmas? My Christmas was really good. The whole month of December has felt so rushed and like just so, I don't know. It was just so quick. So I'm feeling like I'm trying to recoup. I think this is a good way to get back in the habit of getting back to videos to you guys though, because this is something I needed to organize for my own sanity. I like to kind of get myself back on track. And backtracking is a good way. Like once I've backtracked, for example, once I've backtracked this Christmas stuff, I kind of feel like it's done and I can move on to the next thing. So I know we're inching closer and closer to 2025. We're just a couple days away or a few days away. We will have planning and like goals videos and all of those things here. It's going to heavily focus on budget goals and plans because this is a budget channel, but those things are going to happen in January. I am not even going to try to rush through and make up some information for you guys because I think that would not be super cool, right? Like I could just to make content, I could rush through and like say, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I think should happen. You know, I could do all of those things, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my time and you guys will see me at the start of 2025 doing goal setting and money and budget, all those videos in 2025 through January. So Christmas budget. Okay. I first wanted to just kind of highlight, this is a category in its own. Traditions. I didn't save money for traditions. Surprise, surprise. Okay, we're going to put these all in one spot. Traditions. For traditions, we do ice cream. We just drive through somewhere and get ice cream and view lights. So ice cream and lights. This might need 2 spots. So ice cream and lights, it cost us $35 this year to go get ice cream. We went to Dairy Queen and got ice cream and French fries. That's why it's a little bit more expensive. So we got ice cream, French fries. I think my youngest even got chicken nuggets. That's just a tradition we have. I would have loved to do like a drive-through lights where we pay for it, but it just wasn't in the budget this year. We always do this. Sometimes we pay to also drive through like a created spot. We didn't do that this year. This was just like neighborhood lights. It was still fun. Gingerbread house. We did 1 gingerbread house. Again, I didn't really have a big budget for our tradition stuff because it wasn't really on my radar until it happened. We always do a gingerbread house together as a family. There's been some years where I bought multiple kits. This year we bought 1 kit because I was like, this needs to come out of grocery money. So we spent $16 on a gingerbread house. We got like a Minecraft theme one. My boys had a blast. It was super fun. In the future, I would like to go a little bit more all out, but we'll talk about that in our 2025 budget. We also spent money on, I put this under traditions. It's not that big of a deal, but it's nice to just kind of have it on my radar because it is an expense. Hot chocolate mix. I buy a big like 30 or 50 pack or something, and it gets us through the holiday time. But we do a lot of hot chocolate in December just as we are hanging about. So I put that $8 in there as an expense for this year. Advent calendars. We spent 150. Advent calendar, I'm going to put times 3 because each of us got separate ones this year. I think next year I'm going to buy an advent calendar that you can reuse, and I'll just put different things in there. We got 3 different advent calendars. I thought we were all going to love the ones that we got. The only one who ended up using their advent calendar was my youngest. I just bought him a advent calendar that had little Pokemon characters in it. It was really well made, so it was $50 well spent in my opinion for that one. My son and I, though, I like mystery, like solving things. So I got one where you have a different clue all day or each day, and I ended up feeling like that was a job, so I didn't use mine. And then my oldest son got one where he gets to build, it's like Tinker Crate type stuff where you build like an elevator with a motor. He also, I think, felt like he had a job and fell off of it very quickly. So I think next year, it was really like the advent calendar that was a hit was the one that just had little trinkets in it. So I think I'm going to buy or make some kind of a big reusable one, buy little trinkets that we will actually use, even if it costs, $150 is a lot. I think it's fun. It's a fun idea, but I think the stuff was more enjoyable than giving us a job. You know what I mean? So if you add all these together, total, that is $209 on traditions that we spent for this year. Now, the rest of it should move rather quickly, I think. I'm also kind of feeling the need to justify my spending. Should I make up some excuses to you guys really quick? This total is going to be, it's a lot. It's more than I initially expected. but is it just me, or like, I don't know. I know it's not just me, but I'm feeling like, is it because my kids are older and their stuff is more expensive? Or is it because like stuff in general is just more expensive? I don't know. But I spent, you're going to see, quite a bit more than I initially planned. I spent $115 on stockings. Now I did spend, that's times 4 though. So for myself, my son, my sons, I have 2 sons, myself. And then I also did a stocking for my niece. I usually buy her presents, which total about this much probably on their own. But I went ahead and told my brother and my sister-in-law, like, I just, I'm still having moving expenses. I'm not going all out for her this year. I'm sorry. She has a working dad and a stay-at-home mom. Like, she's going to be okay. So I ended up just getting her a stocking. Ideally next year, I would like to get her, give her her own budget, but I had already spent a lot. And by the time I was like, oh, I did not get her all the things yet. I just made her a stocking too. So I spent $115 on 4 stockings. I did not feel like that was that bad. And then right after trying to explain away why I didn't spend a ton on my niece, I'm going to tell you guys all the money that I spent on my boys, and it's going to sound possibly outrageous. Let me know in the comments if you are feeling so brave, what you spent on Christmas this year, what you spent on your kids this year, if you feel like sharing. I know all of our budgets are completely different. All of our priorities are completely different. So I'm trying not to feel embarrassed about the fact that I spent $584 on my kids' stockings, and that's not even their big present yet. So $584 for presents. And that is, I'm just going to put a K there for like my own kids. This is for, I will say included in this, they both got a brand new pair of really nice snow boots. I love Bogs snow boots for the boys. Well, I've always gotten Bogs rain boots for the boys, like in the South, but I got them some nice Bogs snow boots for here. So that's a good $120 out of this $584. Also out of this $584 is about $140 in those like happy lights, because we now live in Iowa. The sun's not out all the time. So, I mean, I would say half of this money was like responsible things that they needed to get. Like they got the typical, like kids get new socks, right? On Christmas. So I got them, I'd say about half of that was like responsible spending that I was going to do anyway. The rest of it was straight presents though. Legos, board games, all the things. My kids are not kids who get things outside of Christmas and birthdays though. Like unless somebody gives them money, which does happen, like they get birthday money, but unless they have birthday money to spend or something, we don't shop for like random toys just whenever. So I don't feel bad about that amount, but if you want to judge me, you can, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 lines of these colors. Now, these are the big things that I'm like, this next year, we're not going to do big presents like this, but this is something that is traditional in my house. My kids each get their own big present. Now, I did share with you guys in a video, I'm putting big prez, whatever. Big prez for Jericho and then for Atlas. So I shared the big present on the video for Atlas. That was $320. I got him, it was meant to be a big present for all of us, but I'm about to tell you why Jericho got his own big present. The big present for Atlas was a Ninja slushie. I thought that was going to be a good way to handle like a group present that would be for me, for Jericho, and for Atlas. But the more I thought about it, I am a big like sweet drink kind of a person, which I recently gave up. Ironically, I gave up cold coffee, so I'm not even using it anymore. But really out of the 2 of them, Atlas is more obsessed with ices and those cold drinks and stuff. And Jericho likes them enough, but it didn't really seem fair. So also Jericho had put a big, an expensive like present on his wish list. It was $200 for, so let me just write that down. So his big gift was it's like I think it's called a crazy cart. It's like it moves and drifts. It's like a ride-on toy. But I purposely, out of the big things he asked for, got something that he has to share with little brother. So usually they get their own big present that's separate from one another, or we do something big like a pool that is shared or something. But this year, Jericho's big present is more something he wanted, but he has to share. Atlas's big present, something he wants, but he also has to share with the family. So it's kind of like sharing big gifts. I don't know. It is what it is. It kind of happened. It all kind of unfolded last minute and cultivated to be, $520 in big presents in addition to what they already had. It was a really tight year already, and I didn't have it in the budget. So I should have cut back a lot this year, but like what's done is done. It is okay. We will move on and plan better for next year, right? So the next thing, we just have a couple more categories here, but things that I absolutely did not factor into my budget for 2024 that we will factor in for 2025 is sweets. So I have had the idea for a long time to do a sweets tray that was like generational. I spent $90 on ingredients for these sweets trays, but basically for my brother and my sister-in-law, my mom, my dad, my grandma, and myself. So like I made 6 trays for all the adults that live close by. I put in my great grandmother's peanut butter cookies. It's like the classic grandma cookie. If you are look up grandma's peanut butter cookies. The recipe with Crisco in it, that's my great grandmother's recipe too. Like that's the one I remember her making when I was little. So great grandma's peanut butter cookies. My grandma, I grew up eating her fudge. She made chocolate fudge. And then my mom made the like dipped pretzel sticks. And then I have for years now made everybody maple pecans. Like it's just pure maple syrup on pecans. And then you like roast them in the oven. So anyway, I did this like cookie tray or like tin full of, 4 generations of sweets. So the ingredients for that was $90. I think it was super fun to put together. It felt like a sentimental, like fun gift to give, right? So I will keep doing that in the future. So I'm going to keep that one in the budget. For the adults in the family, for my mom and dad, for my brother and his wife, and then for myself, I got us all humidifiers. So from the South, right? It's not humid here enough. So I got us all not big, but like roomed humidifiers so that everybody can just have one like when they're sleeping, like you have a humidifier in your bedroom. A present. I'm just running a like adult presents. So for my mom and dad, and then for my brother, that was $60. They were just $30 each. Ideally, I would be getting everybody a really like well thought out gift. Didn't happen this year. So I just got each of them, each family humidifiers. Oh my gosh, I'm losing all my words. I have like 2 more categories. We're going to cycle back through some of these fun colors. So that was the only money I spent on adults presents this year. Next year, I would like to spend more. So we're going to see how we can kind of change up that number and play with our 2025 budget. I'm trying to move through this quick though, because I feel like this is taking really long. Okay. For my presents, I did, and this is just in like the kids budget, but one of the like happy lights was mine. So I don't know, when I first was like tracking, I just wrote it in the kids presents, whatever. So I did get a happy light for myself. For my presents, I also got myself a humidifier, and then I got myself off of Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was selling some brand new Columbia hiking boots, and I really need some. My feet were freezing the last time I went on a hike here in the winter. So I'm hoping some nice hiking boots in addition to some warm socks will be the cure-all for me there. So I got myself those off Facebook Marketplace, and again, a humidifier. So that's what I got myself for Christmas. I would love to give myself kind of a little bit of a bigger budget, but I was just happy this year, period, to get myself anything. Okay, this is the silliest category of all of this, if you can believe it. I bought so many batteries, y'all. I literally bought batteries of all kinds, every kind. There's no A, AA, AAA, D, C, bought them all because there was one year my kids had toys that I didn't have any of the batteries that they needed. And I was calling mom, I was calling grandma, I was calling my sister-in-law. So I was traumatized one year when my kids were little. And now I bought $50 worth of all of the batteries, and I was like, I'm going to be ready. Well, not a single thing that my kids got take batteries. They're older now, so I guess they just don't. I don't know if I just got lucky this year or if it's because they're older and they require less things that take batteries. But clearly, they needed nothing with batteries this year. So I got $50 in batteries, which is fine because I'm kind of like, I'm stocked up for the year now of batteries for like the remote or whatever. because I spent so much on batteries. But I really wish I would have kind of paid better attention. So this is on my radar. I'm going to put, I don't think I said this to you guys, but I'm going to put these in, both of these sheets in a binder. I'm making myself kind of like a family binder with like favorite recipes and like just some of these big picture things. I do have a budget planner that we're gonna be working in, and I'm gonna show you guys very soon. But as far as this, like I want to keep year by year just to remind myself, oh yeah, I bought all those batteries and didn't need them, you know? So that whenever, next year when I'm like, oh, I need a bunch of batteries, I can look back and kind of be reminded of writing this down and how I felt silly for buying all of those batteries. I'm gonna write after holiday. This is really like after holiday spending. So I did go to Walmart the day after Christmas and I spent $70 on some things for next year. So next year, which, oh, I guess I didn't say too, wrapping paper is also under kids' presents. But next year, I already bought wrapping paper for next year. I bought some new decorations. So there's, oh, I just remembered a whole separate thing that I didn't write here. I'm gonna have to make myself a little note. Anyway, after I got some things from Walmart after the holiday, like the day after Christmas. Some of it was also just candy, like cheaper candy for the boys. They had like, you know, like your themed fun candy, 50% off, everything 50% off. So I got some nice decorations that would have been $20. They were 10, etc. So I did spend 70 after. That was like after holiday spending. I don't know that I will do that. Oh, I know what else I got. I got some really cute pillows. They're really like those squishmallow things, but I'm going to use them as pillows. I'm sure next year when I pull stuff out of the box, I will show you guys. But I had a buggy full of stuff for on the day after Christmas for $70. So that was a win. I forgot a whole section in here that we're going to have to add. And I'm just going to write it down here. It would technically fall under traditions though. So I'm going to just write myself a little arrow because some of this kind of falls under traditions. Okay, it's also tradition for us to go get, I take the boys, how do I say this? I take the boys shopping separately and they both get about $100 to spend on presents for whoever they decide. So for example, one of my kids spent like $70 of his on his brother, whatever, I don't care. And then he like got 2 things for other people. Another one, my kid is a little bit more strategic. And so he got something for like almost everybody in the family for like $8 because he knew what his budget was per person. I truthfully don't care. I give them $100 and I'm like, what? Buy for who you want, do what you want with that. This is your shopping money. So I do need to add in $200 because each of them gets $100. And then we also spent about, in that same shopping trip, sorry if I seem so scattered. I'm filming this really late. It's been a long day and I'm trying to film this for you guys, but done is better than perfect. I'm trying to come around to that idea. So the 200 is boys shopping. And then when they're out with me, they get to pick out 2 ornaments for the tree. So every year, each boy picks out 2 ornaments. And while I'm shopping with them, like I pick out 1 ornament that means something to me. So they typically how that tends to go, they pick out something like funny and random. Usually, sometimes it's sentimental, but sometimes it's completely random. Like one of my kids picked out, there was a butter stick at Target. It's an ornament, but it just looks like a stick of butter and it says butter. So like that's how they shop. My stuff tends to be more sentimental. Like my stuff I got this year, I picked out with one of my sons, I picked out a giant Hershey Kiss little ornament because what he got me for Christmas with his money was a giant Hershey Kiss. So I got that ornament on our shopping trip because that was going to mean something to me. And then with my other kid, I found an ornament that had a house and it said 2024 on it. And I got that because that's the year we moved into like our forever or long-term house, right? So under traditions, I would say the boys, shopping with the boys individually, and then ornaments, that's tradition purposes to me. Oh, and the reason each boy gets to pick out 2 ornaments each year is because I'm thinking when they are adults, if they want to take 1 ornament per each year of their life, they get to take 1 ornament and I still have an ornament. So that's why they pick out 2. How much did we spend on ornaments this year though? I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 ornaments. I'm going to say just $80 to play it safe. It could have been a little cheaper than that, but sometimes they pick out really nice ones that are like have an Avenger character or something, and they're a little bit more expensive. Let's just say 80. So when you total all that together, we have $2,033 for Christmas spending for the 2024 year. That's more than I really should have done, but I also don't feel like I felt like the tree was underwhelming this year. We did not have a ton of stuff. Their stuff is just getting more expensive. I don't know. I guess it's just the cost. It's the cost now. So anyway, $2,033 is what 2024 cost. Are you guys still with me? I think we're going to go ahead and just do the 2025 budget too. I'm sorry. I hate doing really long videos. Let me know what you guys think about these long sit down, just chatty, rambly videos. I try not to do them to you guys, but this is also just something I need to do to clear my mind, to get kind of on the right track. We're going to do the same colors. Well, I kind of color this in. Oh, okay. I started to just like chit chat away, but I kind of need to think, because I do want to do a little bit differently this year. I think the cool thing about planning it this far in advance is it's fresh on your minds, like how things felt, like, oh, I wish we would have done this, or I wish we would have done that. You know what I mean? So I think that's why it's important to go ahead and do it now. I'm going to add into traditions paid lights and train. I would love to do some kind of a train ride. I don't know if that's going to happen because I think it might be more expensive. I looked into a couple of close-ish train ride experiences, and they were sold out by the time I looked into it because, let's see, chocolate mix, advent calendars. Okay, I'm just writing what it cost, but am I scattered? I'm so sorry. What I'm really trying to say is I want to there are certain things I know I want to add in tradition-wise. Like we didn't go to a paid light thing this year because I kept pushing it off because I wasn't quite sure if we could afford it. By the time I wanted to go to a paid lights thing, I was just like, screw it, we're going to go to one because the debt's there anyway. All the times were full. By the time I looked into the train ride situation, it was already full. There was no ticket. So that's 2 things I want to put on my radar right away as kind of traditions, at least for a couple more years. Now my boys are getting older. They might be too old for the train ride thing. I don't know. Anyway, advent calendar, we spent $150. I would like to budget more like $75 next year. I think I can get us some kind of a used or create some kind of an advent calendar itself and then put in some little goodies in there for $75. So cut that in half. Shopping with the boys, they get $100 each. So that's going to stay the same, $200. Ornaments, we're going to stick with 80. That sounds like a correct number to me. Paid lights, I want to say, let's do 40. It could be a little bit more or less, but this would get us close. Train ride, let's just put in, I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm like, they probably are too old for that already. If you guys do a train ride situation, let me know where your kids were kind of over it. I'm going to add these up and see what our budget is. Okay, so for traditions, it's 504 is what that totals. But keep in mind, it does say 209 for traditions this year, but remember there's 280 added down here for shopping with the boys. So, and then ornaments. So 504 for traditions. We will look at this sheet again once the time gets closer, but this is just kind of planning and being prepared. So stockings is the next category. I don't think I'm going to do a stocking. I don't have any plans to do a stocking for my niece I keep highlighting in the wrong. Maybe it's good that I go ahead and highlight that in. Stockings. So let's just plan stockings times 3. That's me and the boys. Let's put $80 as that goal. Presents for the boys. Okay. I think I'm going to continue getting their nice winter boots for Christmas. I like that tradition, and I like that it fits in this budget and it's not just a random $150 expense. So I don't want to make this too low, but we shouldn't need to purchase the happy lights again. I think aside from boots, I'm going to keep presents Oh goodness, I don't want to shoot too low. Let's do presents for the kids at 400 and see if we can keep that, like that's still reasonable. We're going to skip big presents for now because I have a different idea there. Let's put, I'm trying to keep the same colors that we did before. So once I'm referencing these in the future, it's pretty easy. Sweets, $90. I want to keep those like generational sweets trays going. If I decide to make those for more people, this number is going to need to go up, but that is okay. So the only thing, adult presents. Adult presents really needs more money. I would like to get something kind of thoughtful for all of the adults. We did 60 this year. I've been big on Facebook Marketplace, and hopefully they are not offended. And let me just say a story time really quick. I have an Etsy shop on here, right? And not on here, I have an Etsy shop on Etsy. I'm planning on growing my business this year. I have so much, not so much debt, like it's not outrageous, but I have debt for 2025, and I perceive that it will stay there. There's two parts of me right now. I feel like some people are going to come after me for saying like I'm going really cheap, and some people are going to come after me saying I spend way too much. Well, I don't really know if it helps you to have a background. I have been a poor single mom for a really long time. My kids are only 8 and 10, so it hasn't been that long, but you know what I mean. And when I was married and the kids were tiny, and before the kids, I was married to somebody who was not great to me, right? So I feel like I'm in that era of just being so excited to have any money and to spend anything that I can. I'm not in a like rich girl era. And even at this point in life, I'm still on paper considered lower middle class. I don't feel the struggle as much as I once did, but I'm no means rolling in it. But I also can acknowledge that maybe I do overspend, but like on things that I shouldn't. But it's where I'm at right now. I want to give my kids a good Christmas, you know? And I also want to give my parents, like I like to give people stuff. With all that being said, next year, I only plan to spend about 120 on the adults in the family. I really love Facebook Marketplace. I find so much stuff that is brand new on Facebook Marketplace for a really good deal. So I think if I'm thrifty, I could find them nice new things for $120 for everybody, right? My presents, I like kind of where I was before. I'm going to put $60 for myself. Again, get myself stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and that's going to be fine. Batteries, I'm not putting anything. That's the next category we're at. I'm not putting anything down for batteries. We are skipping that. I do want to do some after holiday shopping. Oh, before we actually, we'll keep going. I need to write in my niece. But let's go down to, just to kind of keep this in order, after holiday spending. I spent $70 this year, and I thought that was perfect. I'm going to do 75. No, I'm not. Let's see. How much stuff? I'm in a tiny home. Like, how much more stuff could I really put in? I'm going to do $50. So if there is like a big thing, or maybe there's a bunch more little things, that gives me some money to spend the day after Christmas, because I like the idea of like continuing to stock up. Then I'm not tempted to buy decorations throughout the year, like planning leading up to Christmas, because I know I'm going to get a great deal after Christmas when everything is 50% off. The categories I need to go in and add, first we're going to add my niece, then I'm going to total it up, and then we're going to chat about what's really on my mind for if we save some money here and we don't buy big gifts for the boys. Now again, I have nieces and nephews on my ex-husband's side of the family. I am still close with them, but they all live further away. My niece actually lives in the same state as me, right? So I do want to get her stuff because she's going to come over. Also, my brother and his wife do get my boys things. So we're going to do presents. I'm just going to put have I ever named her on my YouTube channel? I'm going to put an X. I don't know if they want her name said on YouTube, so I'm going to just put that there. I'm going to spend, let's put a $100 budget for her on there. She is 5 this year, so she'll be 6 next year. She is still so easy to shop for. She's just at the age where you can get a lot of stuff for $100. So I think that's plenty there. Let me add this up really quick and see kind of where we're at. Okay, so I added this up. So far we're at $1,404, which is like $600 cheaper than what we spent this year because I cut out the big presents. I always spend, I will say, about $400, $600 on big presents for the boys. Next year though, we're going to see how this goes. But next year I would like to go on vacation. I would love to surprise them with some kind of a trip. I want to have like a more heavy trip here for 2025. And I would like to surprise them on something kind of well thought out for them. So if you remember, we're working on these 2 binders. If I stay within the budget here and we fill both of these binders, that gives us $1,352 for a trip. So that's what I want to do for next year. Let me just verify these numbers really quick. 1,756. Yes. So if we stay in this budget, we still get to do all of the traditions. They still get stockings. They still get presents. I get to do the sweets. Like if I stay on budget, I could do all the things. And then we still have trip money afterwards, right? Assuming we get to stuff both of these binders. And I think that we're going to be able to. So we'll see how it goes. But this is the planned budget for 2025. Next year, we'll be able to come back and really say what I spent. You see, like this year, we didn't budget it. We just spent it. So also, if we stick to this budget and we save this, there will be no after holiday stress like I'm feeling this year because we will have already planned for it. We will have paid for it in cash, basically like saved money. It's not something that I'm like, can I put that on the credit card and then pay it off in the next couple of weeks, which is kind of where I'm at this year, but it is okay. It was a great Christmas. I hope that you guys also had a good Christmas. I hope that you were smarter than me and you kind of pre-planned. I'm trying not to be hard on myself though, because we did have a major move, which came with a lot of stress and, expenses and things. So I really don't feel too bad about what we did. Like the damage could be much worse for this 2024 Christmas. But this is my real budget. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys did. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.